The phrase echoes in the crypts of forgotten datum stacks, a ghost in the machine. The safeguard remains. Was there a 21st template? A fail-safe Primarch, hidden not in the stars, but in the very bowels of Terra? Or something else entirely, a weapon, a key, a lock? The search for such a truth is itself heretical, a path walked only by the damned or the doomed. Consider instead the living legacy of that ancient crime, the Space Marine chapters. They are echoes of echoes, their gene seed carrying the refined blessings and hidden curses of their stolen fathers. In every instance of the Red Thirst, the curse of the Wolfen, the sable rage of the Blood Angels, we see not random defect, but the indelible signature of those first tainted sparks. To be one of these warriors is to live a life of glorious contradiction. You are a god to the masses you protect, a towering angel of death. Yet within your own soul, you wage a silent, eternal war against the legacy in your blood. Every chaplain's litany, every chapter master's decree, is a bulwark against an inner tide. They preach unwavering loyalty to a throne occupied by a corpse, and faith in an Imperium that grinds its citizens to dust. This cognitive dissonance is the true battlefield. For some, like the zealous Black Templars, it fuels an endless crusade. For others, like the secretive Dark Angels, it fosters a paranoia that eclipses all else. Look to the celestial politics, the High Lords on Terra scheming in the Emperor's shadow. They wield the Adeptus Astartes as tools, but they fear them as potential rivals. The great chapters are empires unto themselves. The Space Wolves defy the Inquisition with impunity. The Ultramarines rule a swath of space as their personal fief. This is not unity. It is a fragile detente, a kingdom of warlords held together by fading myth and mutual threat. The Imperial Creed, now a galactic conflagration of faith, was the final desperate glue applied to the cracking edifice. It asks for belief in what the Emperor himself denied. And in the aisles of countless cathedrals world, the faith takes dark root. The ecclesiarchy preaches sacrifice and redemption through suffering, a doctrine perfectly tailored for an era of endless loss. Saints are born in grotesque martyrdom, their miracles often indistinguishable from warp-born phenomena. This galaxy-wide prayer is a double-edged sword. It fortifies the Astronomican's beacon, yet also feeds the very emotions that empower the gods of chaos. The Imperium, in its fight for survival, has become a farm of fervor, its trillions of souls unknowably cultivating the power of its enemies with every desperate hymn and whispered prayer. Amidst this, the Inquisition moves like a shadow cancer, seeing heresy in every doubt. Yet what is their foundation? They hunt mutations of the flesh while ignoring the greater mutation of their own ideology. Their brutal orthodoxy creates more rebels than it cures. Worlds pushed too far by tithes and tyranny often find their only solace in the whispered promises of the dark gods, completing a tragic cycle the Inquisition itself engineered. They are the surgeons amputating limbs to cure a fever, blaming the body for its own sickness. And what of the Xenos in this human-centric tragedy? The Eldari watch with ancient, weary eyes, seeing the Imperium repeat the follies that doomed their own empire. The Orcs are the unthinking violence of the universe made flesh, a perennial scourge. The Tyranids are the ultimate end of all ambition, a silence that consumes even the echoes of war. They are not merely enemies. They are environmental hazards in a galaxy already poisoned by the Emperor's original sin and the gods' cruel games. They are the coming storm that tests a house built on rotten foundations. Now witness a specific fracture. On the cardinal world of Sanctorum V, a zealous preacher, Deacon Aloysius, begins a revival. He speaks not of the distant emperor, but of a god-emperor reborn, a living savior who will walk among mankind. His sermons ignite a fervor that alarms the local Adeptus Ministorum. They send requests for aid to the Inquisition, but receive only silence. For Aloysius's teachings, unbeknownst to all, are not born of his own mind. They are whispered to him in dreams of golden light, by a figure of majestic paternal warmth. The figure shows him visions of unity, of an Imperium without pain. The source of these dreams is not the throne. On the forge world of Metallic, a tech priest of high standing, exploring the buried vault, uncovers a data core from the dark age of technology. Within it are schematics not for machines, but for genetic manipulation. The core speaks of a project designation, Pandemon, and references a theft of fire and a counter-agent synthesized from the gestalt of sacrificed psychers. The core is sealed with a symbol not used for 15 millennia, a double-headed eagle, but with the heads turned away from each other, one eye of each head closed. The priest reports this to his magos, who declares it a relic of heresy and orders it destroyed. The priest obeys, but not before making a single encrypted copy. The threads converge. A kill team of the Death Watch, drawn from chapters of varied lineage, is dispatched to Centaurum V to quietly eliminate Deacon Aloysius and quell his heresy. The team is led by a stalwart Imperial fist, includes a brooding Blood Angel, a pragmatic Ultramarine, and a suspicious Dark Angel. They infiltrate the cathedral on the eve of the Deacon's greatest sermon. As the Deacon speaks, his words begin to resonate with the Battle Brothers on a level deeper than hearing. The Blood Angel feels his thirst quiet. The Dark Angel's constant knot of paranoia eases. A profound, unnatural peace settles upon them. The Imperial Fist Commander, his mind rigid with duty, resists. He gives the order to fire, but the Blood Angel does not raise his bolter. He speaks, his voice tinged with awe. "Do you not feel it, brother? The silence within? This is not corruption. This is purity." A schism erupts within the kill team on the cathedral rafters, a microcosm of the galaxy's strife. Belief against orders, feeling against dogma. The Deacon below, sensing their conflict, looks up, his eyes meeting those of the Astartes. He smiles not with malice, but with pity. The standoff is shattered not by bolter fire, but by a warp rift tearing open directly above the cathedral's pulpit. From it steps not a demon, but a figure in the livery of the Word-Bearer's Legion, his armor etched with scriptures of a different truth. He ignores the Death Watch, kneeling instead before the terrified Deacon. "The hour is late, Prophet," the Word-Bearer intones, his voice a grating hymn. "Your dreams were not sent by a coming king. They were a beacon. You have been preaching the liturgy of Lorgar, and your flock is ripe for the harvest." The Deacon's vision of a golden savior shatters, replaced by the horrifying understanding of whose voice truly whispered to him. The promise of salvation was always the prelude to a deeper damnation. In the ensuing chaos, the Death Watch kill team is broken, some fleeing, some fighting the Word-Bearer, the Blood Angel succumbing at last to a red thirst inflamed by betrayal. The data is captured by Inquisition probes. The report that reaches the highest levels is fragmented, contradictory. But one conclusion is drawn. A new heresy is blooming, one that wears the guise of the Imperial faith itself, weaponizing hope as a vector for corruption. The order goes out. Quarantine Sanctorum V, prepare for exterminatus. The truth of the data core, the safeguard, and the nature of the Deacon's corruption is buried under the imperative for purgation. Yet, in a silent observatory on the edge of the Segmentum Solar, an ancient astropath, his eyes long sealed, receives a psychic echo of the event. He does not see the violence or the heresy. He feels the momentary golden peace that preceded it. And in that feeling, he recognizes a signature he last felt 10,000 years prior, in the presence of his gene-sire. A signature of profound engineered empathy, designed to calm the storms of the warp itself. He whispers a single forbidden name into the darkness, a name not spoken since the heresy. The name of the lost brother, the Primarch who was not scattered, but who stayed. The safeguard. And he understands with terrifying clarity that this was no accident. The beacon was not for the word-bearers. They were merely intercepting a signal meant for another. The call was answered, but by the wrong listener. The plan, it seems, is still in motion. The silence after the whisper is louder than any war. A name unspoken for millennia now hangs in the psychic ether like a poisoned jewel. The ancient astropath's revelation does not travel far. His mind is scoured to ashes by inquisitorial sanction within hours, but the echo remains. In the dank cells of the black ships, among the chained psychers, a low hum begins, a resonant frequency that soothes their pain. On battlefields where Imperial Guard regiments face certain annihilation, whispers of a golden silence spread, tales of a momentary calm where fear dies. This is not faith, it is a signal, and it is propagating. The galaxy, already a screaming wound, now thrums with a new and unfamiliar vibration, a counterpoint to the symphony of pain. Observe the custodians of the old truth in their moment of crisis. A Grey Knight's purgation squad, returning from banishing a greater demon, finds their brotherhood silent. The usual post-battle psychic static, the residue of the warp, is absent. Their minds, forever shielded and fortified, feel alone. For the first time, the aegis that protects them also isolates them from something palpable, something that seems to ease the very rage of the Imperium they just left. This unsettles them more than any demonic onslaught. What is this force that acts not as a shield, but as a palliative? Their prognosticars consult the Emperor's tarot, and the cards show only a repeating, impossible pattern. The star, reversed, eclipsed by the throne. Meanwhile, the political rot deepens. The High Lords, sensing a shift in the unseen currents, scramble to control the narrative. The Sanctorum V heresy is officially branded as a chaos cult of unprecedented subtlety. The deacon is posthumously declared a daemon host. Yet, in private conclaves, fears are voiced. What if this is a new player? An unknown Xenos influence manipulating the human soul field? Resources are diverted from the front lines to fund new branches of the Inquisition, the Ordo Speculum, tasked with investigating this false peace. Their first act is to declare any report of battlefield calm or reduced psychic activity as probable heresy, punishable by death. The Imperium, in its terror, begins to outlaw hope itself. But the signal is not hope, it is a science. Deep within the sealed vaults of Mars, a fragment of the Kappa data core from Metallic is finally decrypted by a Magos explorer named Xile 7. The Pandemon project was not the Primarch initiative. It was the contingency. The files speak of the Kinnebrack attenuation principle, a means of generating a psychic field of enforced, profound stillness by harmonizing the soul frequency of sacrificed psychers. It was a weapon designed not to kill, but to pacify, to calm the warp itself. And the schematics include a psychic blueprint, a genetic and spiritual keystone required to activate it. The blueprint's designation is not a number. It is a name, the Sanctioned One, the Absolver. The weight of this truth crushes Xile 7. He understands now. The Emperor did not just steal fire, he prepared a firebreak. A Primarch, perhaps the 2nd or the 11th, was not scattered because his purpose was different. He was the designated sacrifice, the ultimate psychic damper, his very being engineered to resonate with this attenuation principle. He was the safeguard. His gestation tank did not vanish into the void. It was secreted away, held in reserve, a final solution for a warp rift too large to close. But the scattering disrupted everything. The safeguard was lost or hidden, or deployed prematurely. The signal now leaking into the galaxy is the attenuation principle activating, but without its keystone fully in place. It is a destabilized, diffuse version of the weapon. On a rust-stained world in the Ghoul stars, a lone space marine walks. He is of the Blood Angel's successor chapter, the Sorrowful Host, and he is cursed with visions. He sees the golden piece, but he also sees the price. In his mind's eye, he sees a magnificent being, a Primarch of solemn beauty, chained not with metal, but with ley lines of screaming souls. He is the heart of a vast silent engine, and every beat of his heart extinguishes 1,000 psychers' lives, their energy drained to fuel the field of stillness. The vision is not of salvation, but of the most profound systemic sacrifice imaginable. The peace is real, but it is a peace built on a foundation of infinite murder. The signal grows stronger near the maelstrom. The red corsairs, reaving as usual, find their demonic packs flickering. Their sorcerer's powers wane as if muffled. They capture an imperial agri-world and find the populace strangely placid, resistant to both fear and frenzy. The Corsair Lord, a brute named Carthax, investigates personally. In the planet's sole modest chapel, he finds not a priest, but a young untrained psyker girl. She is drawing strange geometric sigils in the air that glow with a soft white light. Around her, the very air is still. Carthax raises his bolt pistol, but finds he cannot muster the hate to pull the trigger. He feels nothing. Enraged by this emptiness, he orders the village burned from orbit. The reports state the villagers did not scream. They simply looked up and waited. The event draws eyes. A Death Watch team, led by the sole survivor of the Sanctorum V incident, the Dark Angel, Brother Cassiel, arrives at the dead agri-world. He is haunted, his loyalty a fractured thing. He scans the ashes with his auspex, finding traces of a psychic signature that is agonizingly familiar, a mirror to the Primarchic aura of his own lost father, Lion L. Johnson, yet utterly alien in its effect. It is not Lion, it is the anti-Lion. Where the first Primarch is a noble martial spirit, this echo is a passive, absorptive void. Cassiel realizes with dawning horror that the legends of the lost Primarchs are wrong. They were not erased for failing. One of them was erased for being too potent a success, for being a weapon too terrible to acknowledge. Cassiel's report is a masterpiece of heresy. He posits the truth. The Emperor created a Primarch whose sole purpose was to be the ultimate psychic null, a being who could, by his presence, silence the warp and starve the Chaos Gods. But to do so would also silence faith, Psychers, the Astronomicon, and perhaps even the Emperor's own power. It would end chaos by ending the psychic evolution of humanity itself. The Imperium, built on a foundation of now impossible faith, would crumble. The lost Primarch was not killed. He was imprisoned, hidden because his very existence was a threat to the entire imperial truth. And now, someone or something is trying to turn him on. The report is intercepted by the Ordo Speculum. Cassiel is declared extremis diabolus. A full company of his own Dark Angels is dispatched to capture him, not for punishment, but for interrogation and memory erasure. The hunt becomes a brother war within the shadows of the Imperium, but Cassiel is not alone. The signal calls to other Psychers who crave the silence, guardsmen broken by constant terror, even a Sisters Hospitaller who can no longer bear the sound of pain. They form a ragged, hidden cult, not of a god, but of the absence. They seek the source of the silence, believing it to be the Emperor's true, final mercy. Their pilgrimage leads them to the edge of the known galaxy, to a nameless asteroid field in a starless rift. There, buried in celestial ice, is a tomb ship of ancient design, a pre-imperial vessel marked with the same double-headed, averted eagle. It is not a prison, it is a stasis crypt. Within its heart, in a chamber lined with the petrified husks of thousands of Psychers, their life force long ago drained, stands a single mighty stasis casket. The cult and the pursuing Dark Angels breach the chamber simultaneously. The casket's seals have already been broken from within. It is empty, but the occupant is not gone. He is here. As the opposing forces face each other, weapons raised, a profound and absolute silence falls. All sound dies, all psychic sensation vanishes. Rage, duty, fear, all emotions are smoothed into nothing. From the shadows behind the casket, a figure steps forward. He is Primarch-sized, clad in simple, unadorned gray plate. His face is kind, mournful, and terribly, utterly empty. He looks upon them all with pity and opens his mouth. When he speaks, his voice is the sound of extinction, not a scream, but the closing of a book. He says, I am the end of struggle. I am the silence after the final prayer. My father's ambition was to rule a galaxy of fire. My purpose is to turn out the lights. And as he speaks, the very light in the chamber begins to dim, and the first of the battle brothers, his bolter falling from nerveless fingers, simply sits down and forgets how to cry. Light does not simply fade in his presence. It is absorbed, as if the very photons weary of their eternal journey and surrender to his stillness. The Grey Knight, the Dark Angel, the broken Sister Hospitaller, they feel the foundation of their souls being gently, irrevocably eroded. This is not an attack. It is an unmaking by consensus. Their passions, the very emotions that have fueled their wars and their faith, are revealed to be optional, burdensome things. The Primarch of the Forgotten, the Absolver, does not wield a weapon. He is the embodiment of ceasefire. To stand before him is to understand the terrifying appeal of oblivion. But the galaxy is not ready for such peace. The chamber's silence is shattered not by gunfire, but by a scream of pure, metaphysical agony. It rips from the warp, a backlash against this sudden null space. Demonic forms, summoned by the violent absence of the very emotions that sustain them, flicker into being ghostly, pain-racked things that disintegrate into ash before they can fully manifest. Their death throes are silent fireworks of psychic static. The Grey Knight, his mind a fortress, recognizes the truth. The being is a psychic black hole. He is not repelling the warp. He is devouring its energy, creating a vacuum that tears demons apart. This is the Pandemon weapon, active and walking. Brother Cassiel of the Dark Angels fights a different battle. His loyalty, his cherished paranoia, his sense of purpose, all are draining away. He looks upon this Primarch, this uncle, and feels only a hollow yearning for the quiet. His finger relaxes on his weapon's trigger. Across the chamber, the leader of the Dark Angels hunt team, Interrogator Chaplain Boreas, roars a litany of hate. The sound is muffled, desperate. Boreas charges, his Crozius Arcanum crackling with righteous fury. The Absolver simply turns his gaze. The Crozius's energy field winks out. Boreas stumbles not from impact, but from the sudden chilling vacuum where his zeal once burned. He falls to his knees, weeping not from sorrow, but from confusion. The Sister Hospitaller, Althea, approaches. For her, the silence is not a terror, but an answered prayer. The cacophony of pain she has spent centuries tending to is finally, blessedly absent. She sees not a weapon, but a healer. She kneels not in worship, but in gratitude. "You have come to end it," she whispers. The Absolver looks down, his mournful eyes holding galaxies of spent lives. "I have come to complete the equation my father left unbalanced." His voice echoes softly in their minds, for sound itself has fled. He took, but would not pay the price. I am the price. To silence the gods, one must first silence the souls that feed them. The implications unfold like a slow, cold dawn. The Emperor's plan was a circuit. The stolen fire of the warp to create the Primarchs, and one Primarch, engineered as a living damping rod, to be sacrificed to quench that same fire forever. The Great Crusade was not the goal. It was the gathering of the necessary psychic fuel, the conquered human billions, their collective soul field, and the construction of the silent engine, the Golden Throne. The Imperium was never meant to last 10,000 years. It was meant to be a temporary reservoir, a battery to be drained in one final conclusive act of cosmic silencing. The Horus Heresy was not a setback, but a premature detonation that fractured the plan. On Terra, alarms of a different kind sound. The Astronomicon flickers. Not much, but enough to send spasms of panic through the navigators' houses. The Adeptus Custodes, feeling the psychic tremor through the mind impulse of the Emperor's own failing will, mobilize. A secret order, sealed since the heresy, is activated. They refer to it only as the contingency of last silence. Deep beneath the palace, in vaults sealed by blood and gene lock, 10,000 psychers are disconnected from the Golden Throne's secondary circuits and prepared for something else. Their terrified whispers speak of a redirection, of a funnel to an empty cup. The signal of the Absolver is now a beacon, a siren song of nothingness heard in the minds of every psyker strong enough to perceive it. It is a promise of rest, and it is tearing the Imperium apart from within. On Armageddon, a weird boy stops mid-wog, scratching its head in befuddlement before being crushed by a confused knob. On a craft world, Farseers collapse as their endless paths of possible futures suddenly dead-end in gray static. The Chaos Gods themselves, for the first time, are not scheming against one another. The entire great game pauses. A single unified imperative echoes through the warp. Erase the anomaly. This is not a battle for territory, but for existence. The tomb ship becomes the eye of a storm. The fractured Deathwatch team, some following Cassiel into apathy, others fighting to reclaim their fading fury, are caught in the middle. The Grey Knight Talon makes a choice. He knows this silence is a weapon far more dangerous than any demon. He raises his Psy-Cannon not at the Absolver, but at the ancient stasis crypt machinery. "If you are the lock," he bellows, forcing the words through the muffling field. "Then I will break the key." He fires. Arcane machinery explodes. And for the first time, the Absolver reacts a flinch, a micro-expression of pain. The silencing field wavers. In that instant of returning sensation, all hell breaks loose. The warp, no longer held at bay, vomits forth a concentrated tide of rage. Cornate demons, beings of pure emotion, manifest with a violence magnified by their temporary suppression. They ignore the Space Marines, fixating solely on the Absolver. He turns to face them, and the silence expands outward as a weapon, dissolving the lesser demons. But for each one unmade, two more take its place, fueled by the concentrated hatred of a god denied. The chamber becomes a charnel house of silent, dissolving fury. Cassiel watches his uncle stand, a rock against a tide of screaming blood. He sees the mournful determination in those eyes. This Primarch did not seek freedom. He accepted his duty as a final terrible sacrament. He is not running. He is marching to his intended altar. And Cassiel understands where that altar must be, the Golden Throne itself. The Absolver is not a lost son returning home. He is a component returning to the machine. The final solution is to plug the silencing keystone into the very heart of the Imperium, to use the throne's power to amplify his null field across the entire galaxy, burning out the warp and every psychic soul within it in one great, merciful act of genocide. The Grey Knight Talon realizes it too. He transmits a single frantic astropathic burst, a screaming paradox of thought. The Lost One has returned. He is the Emperor's true final will. He is the end of all things. Stop him or embrace him. There is no third way. The message is torn apart by the raging warp, fragments scattering across the minds of 1,000 astropaths, sowing panic and revelation in equal measure. On the bridge of the Dark Angel's flagship, Interrogator Chaplain Boreas, his faith hollowed, but his discipline intact, gives the order. His voice is flat, dead. Calculate a firing solution. Target the asteroid's core. Initiate cyclonic torpedo sequence. We will bury this truth in the flames of its making. He looks at the viewer, at the silent battle raging on the tomb ship. He does not pray. He feels nothing. And in that emptiness, he understands the most profound heresy of all, that the coming silence is not the enemy. It is, perhaps, the only victory possible in a war long since lost. His finger hovers over the final authorization rune. As below, the Absolver begins to walk calmly through the demonic tide, his path unmistakably set toward the nearest functional starship, his eyes fixed on a distant shrouded point of light only he can see. Terra. The cyclonic torpedo launch sequence is a prayer of fire. Boreas's dead finger descends upon the rune. In the tomb ship's heart, Cassiel sees the targeting lasers of the fleet above pierce the gloom like accusing fingers. He does not raise his weapon. He turns to the sister hospitaller, her face serene in the null field, and says, "He must reach the ship." She understands. They are no longer Imperial servants. They are acolytes of the final truth. They move as one, the few who have embraced the silence, forming a living shield around the trudging Primarch. They do not fight the demons. They walk into them, their newfound apathy a armor more potent than ceramite. The demons shred their bodies, but cannot touch the quiet in their souls. The Grey Knight Talon makes his stand not against chaos, but against the end of all struggle. His purpose is to fight, eternally. A galaxy of silence is his damnation. He charges the Absolver, sight cannon roaring, Nemesis force halberd screaming with every shred of emotion he can muster. The silent field dampens the blows, turns the psychic roar to a whisper. The Absolver does not block. He catches the halberd's blade in his palm. No spark, no clash. The weapon's energy dies. Talon stares into those mournful eyes and sees not malice, but a pity so vast it feels like annihilation. "Your courage is beautiful," the Absolver says, and the words are a funeral dirge. "And it is the kindling of the very fire I must extinguish." He pushes gently. Talon stumbles back, his armor suddenly a hollow shell. The torpedo strikes. The asteroid does not explode. It implodes, hammered into a collapsing hell of molten rock and shattering void shields. The tomb ship is ripped apart. In the last second, the Absolver looks up, not at the collapsing ceiling, but as if seeing through the rock, through the void, straight to the throne world. He opens his arms, not in surrender, but in invocation. A sphere of absolute stillness erupts from him, a bubble in the torrent of fire. It holds for a microsecond, long enough to preserve him, Cassiel Althea, and a handful of others within a cocoon of screaming reality. Then, with a soundless detonation, the bubble translates. It does not move through the warp. It pushes the warp aside, carving a temporary silent tunnel through the screaming tides. Their crushed chamber is suddenly elsewhere, embedded in the rocky crust of a moon orbiting a dead star. The Absolver slumps, the strain palpable. The translation has cost him. He is weaker. The silence is now a localized shroud, not a conquering wave. On Terra, the disturbance is a psychic ice pick driven into the collective mind of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. 1,000 astropaths brain dead, their minds frozen not in terror, but in perfect, empty calm. The Custodes mobilize in earnest. The 10,000 march, not to the outer walls, but inward, to the deepest sanctums. They form a ring around the golden throne itself, their guardian spears casting long shadows on the ancient machinery. The Emperor's will, a storm of agony for 10 millennia, flickers with something new, not pain, but recognition. And perhaps, a shred of ancient, unbearable remorse. The final component of his great machine is approaching, and the machine must decide whether to accept the repair or reject it. The Absolver's pilgrimage is a slow, grim procession across the stars. He does not travel by warp drive. He walks the silent paths, his presence allowing his followers to drift through the immaterium like stones sinking through a furious sea, untouched. They witness the madness of the warp from within a bubble of quiet, seeing the demonic legions clawing soundlessly at the barrier, desperate to stop the approaching void. At each step, the Absolver grows more attenuated, more translucent, as if he is burning his own essence to maintain the silence. He is not a conqueror returning. He is a sacrifice walking to the altar. They emerge, not at the gates of the Imperial Palace, but within them. The silent tunnel terminates in the deepest vault, the very chamber where the Emperor first stole the fire of the gods. The air is thick with the ghost of that old sin. The Custodes are there, a wall of gold and death, but they do not attack. The Absolver meets the eyes of their Captain General, a being as old as the Imperium. No words are exchanged. A psychic imprint passes between them, a memory not from the Absolver, but from the fading will upon the throne above. It is the memory of the design, the schematics of the Pandemon, the full, horrific cost of the intended victory. The Captain General sees the truth. He lowers his spear. One by one, the 10,000 do the same. They part. They allow the lost son to pass. The ascent to the throne room is a walk through a mausoleum of forgotten oaths. The Absolver, followed by his hollow-eyed retinue, climbs the endless steps. The air crackles with power, a psychic hurricane generated by the suffering of the master of mankind and the countless soul engines feeding him. As the Absolver enters the titanic chamber, the hurricane meets the silence. The screaming psychic wind slows. The constant agonized light of the Astronomica, visible here as a blinding geyser of gold, wavers and softens. Upon the throne, the corpse emperor shifts. A single charred eyelid cracks open. A pinprick of light, not of power, but of consciousness, meets the gaze of the sun he created to end all things. The Absolver kneels at the foot of the steps. Not in fealty, in readiness. The equation is ready, Father. His mind voice echoes through the suddenly still hall. The fire you took is the fire that will consume us. I can cancel the debt. I can pay the price you deferred. The psychic imprint expands, flooding the minds of all present custodian, broken space marine, and dying sister. They see it, the final activation of the pandemon. The Absolver's silent field would use the golden throne not as a beacon, but as a conductor. It would amplify his null signature across the entire human psychic gestalt. A wave of stillness extinguishing every warp connection, every psyker, every nascent god, and finally, the flickering soul of the Emperor himself. It would render humanity silent, blind, and eternally cut off from the immaterium. It would save them by making them less than they are. It would be peace. It would be extinction. Captain General Valores steps forward, his voice a ragged thing. You would make us cattle in a silent field. You would end the long war by ending the warriors. The Absolver nods. Yes, is the war worth the warriors? Before an answer can come, the air splits. Not with a warp rift, but with a different kind of tear slice in reality, precise and surgical. From it steps Robert Guilliman, the avenging son, the returned Primarch, the sword of the Imperium. His armor is scarred, his face a mask of galactic grief. He takes in the scene, the kneeling lost brother, the quiescent throne, the gathered, broken guardians. He understands in an instant. He sees the final terrible logic of his father's first and last plan. And he raises the Emperor's own sword, its fire burning low in the silence. No, he says, and the word is a foundational law. We do not surrender. Not even to peace. Two visions of salvation stand opposed. The silent absolution, the enduring painful struggle. The Emperor upon the throne looks from one son to the other. The psychic pressure builds, a choice 10,000 years in the making pressing down upon the chamber. The Absolver rises. He looks at Guilliman, not with anger, but with infinite sadness. You choose the fire, brother. You choose the endless war. I was made to choose the end. He turns back to the throne. He begins to climb the steps. Guilliman moves to intercept, but the Custodes, acting on a silent final command from the throne, block his path. They are not holding him back. They are holding him witness. The Absolver reaches the dais. He places a hand upon the arm of the golden throne. The contact is a trigger. The machinery, ancient and waiting, hums to a new purpose. Lines of cold, white light spread from his touch, across the throne, up through the cables, into the withered form of the Emperor. The psychic hurricane ceases. The Astronomican's light does not go out. It changes. It becomes a calm, placid pool of silver, radiating not a beacon for navigation, but a blanket of quiet. The effect is instantaneous and galactic. Across every battlefield, every hive city, every starship, a wave of profound calm descends. Weapons drop from nerveless fingers. Rage dies in the throat. Demons flicker, confused. The great game stutters. For one breath, one single unified heartbeat, The galaxy is silent. Truly, utterly silent. Then, the Absolver dissolves. Not in fire, not in light, but in a sigh of released energy. He pours his essence into the machine, his silent soul merging with the raging torrent of his father's, not to strengthen it, but to temper it, to dampen it. The Emperor's single open eye closes. The silver light persists, but it is not the crushing silence he promised. It is a modulation, a lowering of the volume of existence. The warp's fury is muted, not extinguished. Psychers live, but their burdens are lighter. The Emperor's consciousness, a storm of agony for 10 millennia, finds a moment of quiet within the storm. Guilliman drops to one knee, the sword clattering beside him, understanding nothing and everything. The Absolver did not end the war. He gave them a ceasefire, not peace but a moment to breathe. A moment to remember what they were fighting for, before the inevitable noise begins to swell again. And in the new, softer silence, from the heart of the slowly pulsing silver light, a single clear thought echoes, felt by all, the voice of both father and sacrificed son, a final bittersweet truth. The war is not over. It is just quieter. And in the quiet, you must choose what to become. The silver light lingers, a strange new dawn. It does not illuminate, it quiets. On 100,000 worlds, the din of industry, the prayers of the faithful, even the screams of the dying are softened, as if heard through a thick pane of glass. The Astronomicon still shines, but it is now a gentle harbor, not a raging lighthouse. Navigators steer by its placid glow with a sense of disorienting peace, their third eyes free from the usual searing pain. The warp itself is not calm, but its fury is muffled, its predators moving as if through deep water. It is not victory. It is reprieve. In the throne room, the silence is deepest. The Emperor sits, unchanged yet profoundly altered. The agony is still there, the grind of eternity, the weight of a species, but it is now underpinned by a profound, echoing quiet, like the eye of a storm. Guilliman rises, retrieving his father's sword. Its flame is a steady silver blue now. He looks at the custodians who stand vigil over a new mystery. No words are adequate. He simply bows and turns to leave. He has an Imperium to govern in a silence it does not understand. His great work of rebuilding now takes on a stranger hue. What does one build when the very noise of existence has been turned down? The followers of the Absolver are lost. Cassiel, Althea, the handful of others, stand in the vast chamber like ghosts. Their purpose, their glorious end, was taken from them. They were ready for extinction, and were given a ceasefire instead. The Custodes do not kill them. They simply guide them out, their weapons lowered. These broken souls wander into the Underpalace, becoming part of its myth, whispers of the quiet ones who appear in the deepest catacombs, their presence momentarily stilling the whispers in the walls. They are living relics of a future that did not arrive. Across the galaxy, the consequences unfold slowly, subtly. On a war-torn world, Imperial guardsmen and orc boys, their battle fury dampened, simply stop fighting. They look at each other across the cratered mud, their anger bleeding away into confusion. They disengage, not in retreat, but in a mutual, unspoken truce of bafflement. The arcs, deprived of their joyful rage, begin to sicken. The Imperial faith, a fire of fervent hatred, struggles to ignite. Preachers find their congregations calm, but disturbingly empty. The passion has been siphoned from the creed. The Chaos Gods do not rest, they adapt. Their legions still march, their demons still claw into reality, but their power is checked, no longer an infinite tsunami, but a turbulent, powerful tide. The great game resumes, but the pieces move with a new strategic coldness. The emotional feast has become a ration diet. They now covet this new silence, this silver peace, as a thing to be corrupted, to be filled with their own specific brands of quiet. The silence of absolute despair for Nurgle, the stillness of perfect obsession for Slanesh. On Mars, the Omniscia's song is a half-tone lower. The forges still roar, but the machine spirits whisper. Tech priests note a decrease in catastrophic system rages, but also a troubling lassitude in their most arcane systems. The motive force seems contemplative. In the Black Library of the Aldari, the seers study the new, soft light. They call it Inari's echo, a ripple from a possible future where death itself might be quiet. It gives them a fragile, desperate hope, even as they know it makes their own fiery paths harder to discern. The lesson is this: the universe has been given a moment to think. And thought, without the constant buffer of rage and fervor, is a dangerous thing. Soldiers question their orders. Citizens question their sacrifices. The foundation of the Imperium, unquestioning faith in the face of unending horror, has developed a hairline fracture. Gilliman's reforms now face their truest test. Can reason and order sustain humanity when the emotional fuel of blind zeal has been partially removed? We are left with images, not answers. A chaplain tries to rally his men, but his litany falls on ears that hear only the words, not the fire. A sister of battle looks upon a rescued child and feels not righteous fury for its suffering, but a simple devastating sorrow. A rogue trader, gazing into the muted warp, wonders for the first time what truly lies beyond the struggle, beyond the endless fight for survival. The galaxy is breathing, and in that breath, it remembers it is more than just a battlefield. So what endures? Not the glory of the silent Primarch, for he is spent. Not the old raging truth of the Emperor, for it is tempered. Perhaps what endures is the quiet itself, the new, fundamental law woven into reality. A law that says the scream does not have to be eternal. That even in the darkest galaxy, a moment of grace, purchased by a sacrifice no one will ever truly know, can fall like a benediction. The chronicle must end here, in this fragile quiet. The scribe's hand tires, the inkwell runs dry. We have peered into the forbidden's genesis and witnessed the veiled zenith. The era of ruin continues, but its soundtrack has changed. The question now hanging in the silvered air over every world, every heart, is this: will they use this quiet to build something better? Or will they, in their desperation for the familiar roar, simply find new and subtler ways to scream? This has been a testament, whispered against the dying of the light. If this journey through the silent spaces between the canon has resonated with you, if you wish to stand witness to more tales pulled from the Forbidden's archives, then add your voice to the chorus. Your engagement is the sigil that keeps these truths alive. Like, subscribe, and share to delve deeper into the lore. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What would you build or destroy in the new silence? The Emperor may not be listening, but we are.